You are lying in bed, almost asleep. Your thoughts are becoming loose and dreamlike. Then, without warning, your leg kicks, your arm jumps, or your entire body snaps awake. Sometimes it feels as if you missed a step or suddenly fell through the bed. What just happened? That sudden movement is usually called a hypnic jerk, a hypnagogic jerk, or simply a sleep start. It is a brief, involuntary muscle contraction that happens around the transition from wakefulness into sleep. Estimates vary, but roughly 2 out of 3 people experience one at some point. For most people, it is a normal event rather than a sign that something is wrong. The interesting part is not simply that a muscle moved, it is when the movement happened. Falling asleep may feel like turning off a light, but your brain does not shut down all at once. It moves through a transition. Attention to the outside world begins to fade. Thoughts become less organized. Breathing and heart rate usually slow, and the muscles that have been holding your body upright all day begin to relax. At the same time, the systems controlling awareness, sensation, movement, and alertness are changing their activity. This first light stage is called N1 sleep. You can still respond to sounds, and you may not even realize that you were asleep if someone wakes you. A hypnic jerk appears during this handover. It can involve one foot, one arm, the neck, or much of the body. It is usually brief and irregular, rather than a repeated rhythmic movement. Some people barely notice it. Others wake with a racing heart, a flash of light, a fragment of a dream, or the powerful sensation that they are falling. So, does your brain actually believe you are falling? Possibly, but that popular explanation is not established fact. The precise origin of hypnic jerks is still uncertain. Researchers describe them as a normal, sleep-related movement, but the nervous system mechanism has not been completely settled. One plausible explanation is that movement and startle networks can produce a final burst of activity while the brain is shifting into sleep. The signal reaches the muscles, the body jumps, and awareness briefly returns. The falling sensation may be part of that event, or it may be the brain's attempt to explain it. Your brain is constantly building a story from incomplete sensory information. If your muscles suddenly contract while your sense of body position is fading, a quick image of slipping, tripping, or falling may be the explanation your half-asleep brain creates. But if sleep starts are normal, why do they seem much stronger on certain nights? The answer may have less to do with the jerk itself and more to do with the condition of your nervous system when you enter sleep. Hypnic jerks are often reported more frequently during periods of sleep deprivation, stress, anxiety, or heavy caffeine use. These factors can leave the brain tired, but still highly alert. You are trying to descend into sleep while part of your arousal system remains prepared to respond. That is why being exhausted does not always produce a smooth transition. Sometimes it produces a more unstable one. Caffeine and other stimulants can increase alertness and make muscles more prone to twitching. An irregular sleep schedule can make it harder for the brain to move cleanly through its usual stages. Intense exercise late at night appears to be a trigger for some people. Although this varies, stress can also create a loop. The jerk frightens you. You begin waiting for another one, and that anticipation keeps you more alert as you try to fall asleep again. The pounding heart afterward does not necessarily mean the heart caused the movement. A sudden body jolt can briefly activate the same alarm response that follows an unexpected noise. You wake, take a sharp breath, and notice your heartbeat before the nervous system settles again. There is also a popular evolutionary story. Perhaps sleep starts once helped our ancestors check their position before falling asleep in a tree. It is memorable, but evidence for it is limited. It should be treated as an interesting possibility, not the accepted explanation. For an occasional hypnic jerk, treatment is usually unnecessary. The useful approach is to make the transition into sleep less turbulent. Keep a reasonably consistent sleep schedule. Avoid becoming severely sleep deprived. Reduce caffeine later in the day, and give yourself time to wind down. If vigorous late-night exercise seems connected, move it earlier and see whether the pattern changes. Most importantly, do not turn one harmless jerk into a nightly test you feel you must pass. Monitoring every sensation can keep the brain alert at exactly the moment you want it to let go. Hypnic jerks are not the only kind of nighttime movement. If movements happen repeatedly throughout the night, regularly prevent sleep, also occur while you are fully awake, or come with loss of awareness, confusion, injury, or other concerning symptoms, it is sensible to discuss them with a healthcare professional. But the familiar single jolt at the edge of sleep is usually just that, a brief interruption during one of the most complicated transitions your nervous system performs every day. So if your body suddenly jumps tonight, you probably did not fall anywhere. You simply caught your brain halfway through the act of falling asleep.